We're going to start with a little bit of real life non gaming news, which we'll cover on occasion here on the channel, though a bit more rarely. This is mostly for entertainment industry stuff, but sometimes you come across some stuff that is just too dumb to not talk about. And it's, of course, going to be the pipeline hack, which apparently the story that's going around right now is that they got a report telling them that, the company's exposed to hacking, you need to fix this. This was like 5 years ago. And then an employee opened an email with a phishing link in it, which was basically a picture of a big-titted chick with a link saying, more big-titted chicks here. And he clicked on it and leaked all of the emails, all the passwords, all of that shit.
I mean, that is quite funny, if nothing else.
That is quite fantastic in so many ways. And then, before anyone even really realized what was happening, the company paid the ransom, which was $5 million in cryptocurrency. So, congratulations, hackers, I guess.
They actually did pay them. Okay. You know, I was thinking, like, the government wouldn't let them, the whole, don't let terrorists win because it'll encourage more, et cetera, et cetera. They're like, okay, here's your money.
Yeah, like, that was a bad idea. I am almost certain that's a bad idea. Now, this is a private corporation, as far as I am aware, so I mean, I guess they're free to pay their ransom, but you would think that considering the importance of, well, fuel, there would be some kind of a government initiative here as well. It's like, okay, so you shut off the fuel supply to, what was it, something like 50% of the West Coast or something?
Mm-hmm. Which is crippling our economy, but, whatever, details.
Yeah, and they just paid it. Like, you would, I don't know, it sounds like the kind of thing the US government might be interested in. Like, hold on, maybe we should look for some clues here, try and figure out who this was exactly. But no, it's just like, oh, it was Russians. It's always the goddamn Russians.
Also, this begs the question that these things don't operate on their own, like, closed networks. These things are now interconnected with everything. You'd think they would
apparently
be closed circuit, like, okay, if somebody hacked, they'd have to do it from within. But instead, it's like, no, it's just like you Google pipeline, and then you just right-click close.
Right. Actually, like as well, the Colonial Pipeline delivers about 45% of the gasoline consumed on the East Coast, so wrong side of the country, but yeah, apparently, this is not a closed circuit. A pipeline that delivers basically almost 50% of half of the US's goddamn gasoline, a little bit less because East Coast, details, can just be closed from a computer terminal, which sounds like a problem to me, honestly.
You would think they would put more security in that, but that also goes with, like, internet and electrical grid stuff. Like,
oh yeah.
There's those, I forget, not too far away from here, there's, like, this big, giant, like, wall fence around this, like, little complex. Nobody's there, but if you were to destroy that, that would take out the entire power grid for, like, a good 100 miles. All it would take is a car to accidentally bump into that.
I mean, it's a frightening reminder of just how vulnerable our infrastructure actually is to this nonsense. And again, like, this wasn't like in the movies where some like fat Russian sits in the chair in Moscow with a cap on his head, wife beater stained in Cheetos grease and just hammering away furiously at a keyboard. No, he sent a link. He sent a goddamn link that some idiot clicked on because boobies.
And that begs the question: did these do these computers not have any, like, protection software? Is there no firewall set up? Because at the place I work, we do anti-piracy work, and we deal with a lot of, we get fake emails all the time, but we have to open them, right? But we have, like, a firewall, so we can always close it if something, gets in. Do these people not have firewalls? Do they not have, like, any sort of security software or anything to minimize the risk? Or is it just, like, Windows Defender or whatever? Is that it?
I'm sure there's something, but And apparently, by the time they reacted in any way, their entire system had been, uh, oh God, what's the term? Not compromised, encrypted by this hacking tool. And so they had to be sold the decryption key by the hackers to actually get back into their own computers.
It's fascinating to me because I don't know. I just always imagine these places to be a little bit more secure and like, there'd be a protocol like don't open weird links at work,
Yeah. There'd be some kind of panic button somewhere, the alarm would go off like, porn link, and you can hit it and it shuts shit down. But no.
Not only that, but the fact that there was no manual like thing. It's like everything was digital, meaning they were locked out of their own system. There wasn't like they could just unplug the computer and then just flip the manual switches to like reinitialize the pipeline. I don't really know what is like how this works, but like to me it seems like it's just weird that there's no manual controls in case of, an emergency. Say the computer, broke or something.
It was quite a lot of data too. Like I've heard various numbers floating about, but like they encrypted something along the lines of 500 gigabytes of data or something. Like surely that takes a moment, right? Like, do you not notice?
They encrypted 500 gigabytes of their data, which is a nightmare. Like that already sounds horrific. But was there no backups? Like I wish I kind of knew how the system actually worked, because it's kind of curious.
Well, clearly nobody knows exactly how it works, that being the problem. It's such a dumbass thing. And another thing too is, of course, the reaction to this. So many of you may have seen the various memes going on. Now, a lot of this is fake news as well. Like I've seen these pictures of old pictures as well. Like there's one, for example, with bags of frying fat, the yellowish frying fat in plastic bags. And people are like, these idiots put gasoline in thin plastic bags. They'd split basically immediately. Like, no, it's a bad idea. Though you never know. There is some video of a woman, amongst other things, filling up like these large Tupperware-ish containers with gasoline. It's a bad idea, by the way. Don't.
I mean, if you ever Google, what was it? I believe it was Jimmy Carter. There was another fuel shortage. People were hoarding gas because they were scared, right? People hoarded it in their basement. Well, as we know, if it's not, air sealed or whatever, those fumes leak out and people's houses would go boom. So it is like people's lives are at stake because they're dumber than a box of rocks. Like you don't hoard, if you're gonna fucking hoard gasoline, don't hide it in your basement.
Use the proper cans. The thing is, like this is a bit of a funny thing. The little gasoline cans, often called jerry cans, right?
The jerry cans.
You know why they called jerry cans, right?
What's the story?
They invented by the fucking Nazis.
Little schnazies. See, yeah.
By Jerry, because the Germans were like, because nobody could figure out how do we transport lots of fuel effectively. Because the problem with fuel is it eats the shit out of the inside of the fuel containers. Like it eats its way through plastic, even it corrodes metal and stuff. And so in the 1930s the Germans developed the jerry can with a special insulating layer on the inside that prevented the gasoline from eating the tank. So again, it's a very specific thing. You can't put this in just plastic. It'll eat its way out.
Mm-hmm. It's just weird. But yes, if you're going to store fuel for whatever rhyme or reason, you can use jerry cans. You can use those little plastic containers, the ones with the weird nozzle that seals.
So you can use those.
Like whatever the official fuel. Like there's a reason why they make those things specifically for gas, because if you don't, well, it'll eat its way through. It'll start create fumes, and we all know what happens when there's enough fumes in the air, and a spark ignites the whole thing. Can be quite catastrophic for anybody who is underneath or above that.
It's not a great idea. It's not. It's a very bad idea in general. And of course, this comes like I gotta point out something too here. Let me dip briefly in my toe into the political waters here, okay? Why is this happening now? Like, we had 4 years where everybody shut the hell up. North Korea calmed down, Iran calmed down, Israel Palestine calmed down, because a certain orange buffoon was sitting on Twitter writing in all caps, "fuck around, find out," and the globe's never been more peaceful. And now, Russian hackers are apparently shutting down key pipelines in the US, and nobody seems to know what to do about it. The only response I've seen so far is either bomb Russia, which is ridiculous, or just, oh, ignore it. It's fine. Shouldn't you at least call the Kremlin and be like, hey, could you, I don't know, help us with this? You know, it's kind of serious.
You know, some sort of diplomatic effort would be nice. But yeah, because I can't imagine. Now, I do know that, you know, governments, they're, like, everybody knows, well, assumes, we'll say that governments, they fuck with each other frequently and digitally, online. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Russia did these things, because China does these things all the time. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you call the leader and you're like, hey, can you help us with this? It's pretty good PR for Vlad to go, look at me, I fixed America's problem. Then he can tout that or whatever. But at the same time, we won't have to deal with hackers closing off our pipelines anymore.
And there's generally a line here as well. Oh, corporate espionage here and there, some state secrets. Yeah, sure, but this is a big bloody deal. Now, granted, at least the hackers did actually give them the decryption key, so that's nice. But imagine if they hadn't. Already, people are freaking the hell out over this, and I gotta give one thing here to the Biden administration, as much as it irks me. They are right when they're saying that there is no fuel shortage. That's not the problem. It's just that the fuel can't get to the areas required. So if people just chill the hell out for a few days, this problem will probably rectify itself. But, you know, people
panic. And that's normally a lot of disasters. You look at them like, you know, Hindenburg, etc. People freak out.
Yeah, It also isn't unwarranted because, you know, if you're living in rural America, right, you got to drive an hour to get to work. You need gasoline. That's not an option.
Your livelihood depends on it. How are you going to get food if you live out in the rural area, the countryside, you know? For me, it would, like where I live now, it would probably take me like about 40 minutes to get food and back home. But for people further down the way, that are a little bit further away, like where I used to live, it would take me probably 2 hours. To walk all the way with back. Like, it's insane.
Like, you need your car. And if you can't get a hold of gasoline, then you're screwed. And again, if everybody acted rationally, or it's like, okay, it'll be over in 3 or 4 days, a week tops, like, your tank will probably last you. But that ain't gonna happen. So I don't blame anyone either for heading down and getting a jerry can extra just in case, because you know everybody else is gonna do the exact same thing.
It's kind of like the toilet paper thing. Fuck, you remember that? Oh my god, I do.
See, that was weird though. Like, fuel, I get. Fuel kind of important, but toilet paper during the Rona? It's like, oh, we need toilet paper. Why? Well,
there was no shortage to begin with. There was not going to be a problem. People overreacted, panicked, and created a shortage. Like, it's one of those things where, because people panic, they do stupid things, they get scared. Like, it's unfortunate. It only takes a few people to do it, and it snowballs. It doesn't matter how rational you are. Like, it was so bad to the point where I was like, yeah, if I see toilet paper, like, I'll pick it up. But, you know, generally, I'm kind of the person who likes to overstock on everything, so I've always got like a month's extra on anything. So I'm like, eh. And by the time the little, what was it, like 3 week, I don't remember, 2 weeks of little crisis, like, was over, like, everything was back to normal. I wonder how many people are sitting on like a month's supply of extra toilet paper now because of that.
If not more.
It's like, I wonder if they're, you know, go like, wow, maybe I was a little bit, you know, retarded. Maybe I overreacted slightly.
Yeah, it's at least it's toilet paper. It doesn't go bad. You can still use it.
That's true. That's the nice thing. As long as you store it and it doesn't get in a damp place, it'll hold for a very, very long time, I guess.
Right. So that was just a little bit of a side story there, because funny. It's just dumb. And also, just to point out, we're not even, I don't know how many months. We're just a handful of months in, and suddenly the world is going to shit. Israel, Palestine's bombing the shit out of one another. Iranian gunboats, heavy quotation marks, are charging American warships, and Russia's apparently hacking pipelines. As much as we might look at a certain Cheeto Hitler's Twitter profile and cringe a little bit, it turns out that having a world leader just be angry on Twitter is a remarkably effective deterrent.
Who was it that was the madman theory? That was Nixon, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. Like, I remember the one you're talking about, but I don't remember who started with.
I thought that was Nixon, because his theory was that if he acted unhinged all the time, that the communists would be like, oh shit, this guy's gonna fire nukes at us any minute. And so his idea was that, and that could be getting the wrong president here, but I thought it was Nixon, and that's why they were actually able to bring like the Viet Cong and stuff to the peace talks, and then that all caved in because Dummy McDumbpants decided to fucking cheat. But whatever.
I just looked it up. You are correct. Richard Nixon.
Yeah, I was pretty sure.
And I mean, he's got a point. Like, if you've got a deterrent, it's only a deterrent if your enemy thinks you might be willing to use it.
Yep. I mean, look at like Attila the Hun in history. Like, the Romans were like, dude, you can be like the third emperor. Like, just please leave us alone. Act unhinged and crazy enough, and people will do a lot to appease you. It's kind of crazy.